So let's talk about some of those issues, specifically about that G20 declaration on climate action. Faraz Khan is the Chief Executive and Partner at SpectrEco and Visiting Professor of Social Policy and Impact at the University of St Mary's. Thank you for being with us. So what do you make of what you heard? Because it was climate action that was particularly high on the agenda as far as India and developing nations were concerned. Did they get what they wanted?
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having us. Strong messaging, renewed commitment, and an acknowledgement and a realization. Acknowledgement is that there is inadequacy of current actions and resources deployed both on national and global levels. Realization is that the developing countries are not getting a level playing field, as they need to the tune of $5.8 to $5.9 trillion to implement their nationally determined contributions. Even the developed countries like the UK are grappling with the debt of around $2.9 trillion that would significantly impact their global climate action commitments. So a clear roadmap, when people say roadmap, there are 4 or 5 very clear elements to it. A unanimous alignment on beyond geopolitics, investments in carbon technology and energy storage, very clear frameworks and legislation which is mandatory and not voluntary. And lastly, the capacity for small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and corporates to move through that transition with a business lens and make it simplified rather than complicated.
Yeah, and we know that developing nations are feeling the impact of climate change perhaps disproportionately, and yet all nations around the world are having to tackle the threat of climate change. The call at the G20 was that developed nations should put their hands in their pockets and pay, or certainly contribute towards the response from developing nations. And yet this is a universal effort, isn't it? Why should developed nations pay for developing?
Because throughout the industrialized times, I mean, that's the argument. A lot of low-cost resources were used and planet was exploited. Which is happening even today by the developing nations as well. But so now nature is calling for debt repayment. And I really don't think that the climate-induced disasters are going to wait for postponement or restructuring. This is a unanimous issue, and we have to invest. Whoever has the money, creating the right kind of financial mechanisms and create tangible allocation of that in COP28 is something that hopefully we'll be able to see in times to come.
It's really good to get your thoughts. Thank you for being with us. That's Faraz Khan, the Chief Executive and Partner at SpectrEco. Thank you.